then going to the Camino, which allowed us to really sort of immerse in the culture and sense of community in the Camino, but also have an opportunity to process and reflect.
So you live your life based on your own dreams and your own accent and your own energy, It's just that when we try to do it because other ones, so because you want to be at the same level with the other person, I think that's what become overwhelmed.
Many of the students on this program spoke little or no Spanish. This was also an opportunity for them to connect and communicate and engage with people across not solely cultural differences, but linguistic differences, and recognize that they could, in fact, connect and interact and find other ways to communicate.
It is a good reminder of how we can live life in a less stressful way. It doesn't mean that it is easy all the time, but it is possible. This time they confirm my image for El Camino, that I love it from the past, and this one is that when you are in the hill, the look down, don't look up.
Culture and language don't have to be a barrier. If we work, it's not a barrier, right? And that was a really, I think, important lesson for students to learn, and it was a lesson that was reinforced for us as well, that we tend to sort of create these barriers when there are linguistic and cultural differences.
I think it's very important to create a sense of community and trust, and a space where we are learning from each other, and not only among our group, but also from whoever people we interact.
It was just about having the experience. And I know it sounds cliche. People say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
We're talking about you, a young future professional, but it's that, what does it mean? How can we connect? What are the commonalities and differences?
Hello, Pilgrims. Welcome to the Way to Your Why podcast. Here we are again with Maru and Cintia Aguilar from the North Carolina State University. As we spoke in our previous episode with them, they were about to go to a trip in Barcelona and the Camino de Santiago. That is a class that is a study abroad. And then we did that interview before they were going to the Camino. Now we are having when they come back, after they come back from the Camino. So welcome, Maru, and welcome, Cintia. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having us again.
Okay. Hey, hello, Cintia.
Hello. Yeah, doing well. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. How was that experience at the Camino? Or let's start with Barcelona, because you first went to Barcelona, correct?
Yeah, we went to Barcelona first, and the focus of our time in Barcelona was community engagement. So we had the opportunity to meet with a lot of people and organization doing important work within the municipality and the broader region of Catalonia. And it was a very intense week, but it was very enriching and thought-provoking. And it was good to have the contrast between the city and the community engagement piece of the program, and then going to the Camino, which allowed us to really sort of immerse in the culture and sense of community in the Camino, but also have an opportunity to process and reflect on everything that had happened during our time in Barcelona.
Okay, and what was your impression, Cynthia?
Well, I think we actually exceed our expectations and goals. We had a wonderful group of 13 students. 10 were undergrad and 3 were grad students from NC State. And the reason why I said that I think we met the expectations, because we really were able to connect with the community that we were visiting or working with. And this is relevant, thinking that how important it is to get out of your comfort zone and learn how other people do business or do programming or
Okay.
do, so anyhow, the main thing here, and sorry, not sure if I put the idea, but it's how important it is to, again, just get out of your comfort zone, the way that you are used to do things, the way that you live your little bubble, and see what is the reality of other people. And knowing with with the lenses of, who is better or who's not, or the privileged or not privileged, it's just to make that connection with other realities. And more important is what is that, how that impact my life and my professional life. So it was really exceed that expectation. So
Yeah, we can say probably that we're acting as a teamwork and then collaborating as a part of a team, right? Between all of you.
Absolutely. And many of the students on this program spoke little or no Spanish. And so this was also an opportunity for them to connect and communicate and engage with people across not solely cultural differences, but linguistic differences, and recognize that they could, in fact, connect and interact and find other ways to communicate, and that culture and language don't have to be a barrier if we work, so that it's not a barrier, right? And that was a really, I think, important lesson for students to learn. And it was a lesson that was reinforced for us as well, that we tend to sort of create these barriers when there are linguistic and cultural differences. But ultimately, as Cynthia was saying, when you sort of take all of that away, ultimately, we all want the same things. We all want the same goals for ourselves, for our futures, for our families.
Okay. And maybe just to give you an example, because I know, now that we talk about our experience, people say, well, can you tell us specifically? But just to give you an idea, one of the activities that the students, we promote that two-way learning. That's one thing, right? So in one of the students group, we're talking with our partner group of students about the 4th of July, Independence Day, because we thought, prior to that, with the feedback of the organization that we partner, and because of the creativity of ideas of our group, they say, okay, maybe we talk about culture and food, could be something that help us to engage, Okay. Then you think U.S., 4th of July, it's independence, what does it mean? Everybody get excited about what that means. All the food that we eat, it's a holiday and all that type of thing. But do you think talking to a person from Spain about independence, does it make sense?
Yeah. It's difficult.
So they don't have such a historical thing. I mean, you can think it's a lot of, it could be when they transition from dictatorship to that, maybe that was independence for somebody, know. Maybe when they had the Civil War to the dictatorship was independence. But it's a different concept, a different celebration of what it is for us. Does that make sense? So for our students, just, understanding that part, how the history of our countries, even though new generations may not recall, because that was something that, in talking with the people in this particular group, they say, well, schools don't teach it that much now about the history of Spain. They don't talk about that much about the dictatorship, about the Civil War and all that type of things, right? But it's part of the history. While for U.S., our students talking about independence is a must thing to do, that everybody live and enjoy it. And so just to give you an idea, what do we mean about learning two ways? Trying to create those activities that provide us aha moments for both, even though we are talking about youth, and young future professional. But is that, what does it mean? How can we connect? What are the commonalities and differences? And so, anyhow.
And many of the young people that we were working with were not Spanish nationals themselves. Many of them came from various parts of Latin America or Africa. And so that perspective was also important, right? Not just seeing what life was like for someone who was born in Spain, whose ancestry was Spanish or primarily Spanish, but from people who immigrated to Spain from other parts of the world.
And what was the range of ages from the students?
We had students, I think, as young as 19 all the way up to 53.
53?
Students, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a nice, just that range, I think, added so much richness and value to the experience. And there was just a lot of intergenerational learning happening.
Yeah. And then, so tell me a little more. So when you arrived to Spain and to Barcelona, you flew from Raleigh directly to Barcelona was probably your second stop, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we connected in JFK, I think.
Okay. So once you arrived to Barcelona and the jet lag and all that, because it's 6 hours different and all that. So the first day that you start your activities, so how was that connection with local people that you were working there?
It was great. I mean, we had already established a relationship with the organization that we were working with. We worked with that same organization the first time we ran this program. So
Okay.
there was already that rapport. It was really great to see them again. And in some ways it kind of felt like coming back home. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
Maru and I arrived first the day before, and then the second day we went to. I think we mentioned how this program is. We build them from scratch. We don't work with third-party organization. We just do everything. So we went by metro to welcome the students to the airport, and then most of the students arrived before noon. And our program started the same day at 3 p.m. So you can imagine that even though they were jet lagged and all that, but like Maru said, from the very beginning, the organization wasn't new for Maru and I, but for the students, it was new. But we started the very first day that they arrived, like I said, that they arrived. And then that first day was mostly like a overview of the organization, visiting the facilities, and then observing. Being all going to the classroom with the staff and just interacting with the children in a very more free style. If you want to put it very organic. So.
And while you were there, did you visit any university or just were different organizations?
Last time we did visit a couple of universities. This time we focused more on visiting various community organizations. Okay. So that's what we did. We kept ourselves very busy, and we also built in time to visit La Sagrada Familia.
Okay. And did the students have to do any kind of report about what they live over there?
Yeah, they had a couple of projects. So they had one large project for our time in Barcelona, and then they had another project that kind of summed up their time on the Camino de Santiago. And in Barcelona, they had to do a community engagement project. So they chose what group of young people to work with. We were partnering with a specific social services organization. And so students broke up into groups, and they could choose to work with students between the ages of 5 and 8, 8 to 12, 12 to 15, 16 to 24. And then they had to put together a workshop and use culturally responsive practices, right? Acknowledging that there were those linguistic and cultural differences, and then facilitate a 1-hour workshop. And of course, we were there to help with translating, but most of them didn't need it, or they just used it minimally. They figured out other ways to connect with the youth, and they did a really outstanding job. Many of the students that were on the program are also aspiring teachers. Mm-hmm. And so it was important for them to have the experience, just because they're going to have students in their classrooms who may not speak English fluently, are from different backgrounds and cultures. And so this was a good experience for them as well. And we did a lot of reflection. We did a lot of debrief. They had a journal that they wrote in. So they had a lot of opportunities to really process and think about what each activity and site visit meant to them and what they took from it.
Okay. So. Something that you would like to add, Cynthia?
No, I think that I'm sorry, yes, that we came back more than a week ago, right? But I myself had another trip. But as we talk, I think that's the beauty of this type of experiences, that you have all the flashbacks of what we live. Because, this is maybe a side note, but like Maru and I, we were sleeping together, because we were sharing rooms and we really, with the entire group, created a sense of community. Because going back again, as you know, Maru is the professor and I'm assisting her. It has been for us has been always very important to create a sense of community and trust, and a space where we are learning from each other, and not only among our group, but also from whoever people we interact. We, like Manu said, I think one of the great changes from 22 years ago to now is that instead of going to universities for a lecture, we actually visit community organizations that were working directly in communities. For example, one that was very inspirational. It was about community kitchen that works mostly with immigrants, because again, Spain or Barcelona is a center of focus of immigration from different places. But anyhow, but it's not only that having a community kitchen. We know that concept here in US, but how they visualize and how they plan and how actually the community kitchen is an opportunity for them to do assessment and other planning. That is what is different. And part of the reflection, for example, like Maru was saying with the groups, some people will say, oh, maybe I need to go and learn in my community. What type of community kitchen do we have?
Okay.
What was the saying, Maru, that the community kitchen was actually the
food is the excuse, right? The kitchen is the excuse to get people together. And once people are together, they had opportunities for people to cook together, for example. And once they came, they cooked together. It wasn't just about the meal. It was about the sense of community that they were creating. And it was also an opportunity for the people who are running the community kitchen to listen to the needs of the community and respond in kind. So it was almost like a live action needs assessment, right? That was happening in real time. The people from the community are voicing what they need, and those from the community kitchen are creating programs based on what members of the community are saying that they need. And so in that respect, there did seem to be some overlap with the Camino and Barcelona, right? Because that sense of community, that sense of coming together around a meal was present in both experiences.
Okay, well, that's really, really nice to hear. So after all that time in Barcelona and that community engagement activities that you did there and the student did there, how was when you were approaching to the day for going to the Camino? Oh, we're going to go to the Camino tomorrow. How was that reaction from the students?
I think students were ready.
Yeah, they were
looking forward to it. I mean, they loved Barcelona. They enjoyed their time there, but they were ready to experience and to see something different. So I think most, if not all of them, were ready.
Okay. And I believe that you started close to Sarria. Where did you start?
No, we actually started in Navarrete, which is very close to Logroño.
Okay. And then how you transport from Barcelona to Navarrete?
So we took a train to Logroño, and then we just took a city bus to Navarrete, which was very close.
Okay. Then once you arrived to that first hotel, I imagine that you start walking the next day, correct?
We did, yes.
Okay. So once you started working and then started living, and I would like that you focus on the students.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start working and the students start experience that, what was what they were telling you, or they telling other students?
I mean, I think the first thing they notice is the landscape, right? That's something that they really enjoyed seeing. Open fields, lots of flowers, just walking in nature. We live in an urban area, so unless they go outside, and look for places to hike, it's, not something that many of them have access to on a regular basis. So that was the first thing that they noticed. And then I think very quickly meeting the other pilgrims who walked by, and just getting a sense of how friendly and supportive and caring the other pilgrims were. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm certainly not used to, people checking in on me and striking up a conversation in my day-to-day life, right? But that's sort of the culture of the Camino is people are always, that's what people are there for, right? They're there to meet other people. They're there to learn from other people. And so I think our students were a little bit sort of surprised, but pleasantly surprised by the people that they met along the way, and how open everybody was, how caring and supportive they were. That was something that they picked up on pretty quickly.
I think when the night before in Barcelona, I guess it's the same for everybody. It's like wondering I'm ready, but how it really is, I think that's the, they were saying, right, oh, I'm ready to go. But it's like, just the expectation of how it's going to be. I think that we did, and with Maru's experience, we tried to prepare them as much as we could, but even the packing, for example, that's something that we even have a reading about that, we shared a lot of personal experience, but the night before it was still, should I take this or not, and then the next day you just not sure, am I taking what I need, or I taking extra, that, let's put it like normal things to but it was mostly the excitement and expectation. And I think the night in Navarrete, Maru, was really nice because I think helped the transition from a big city, Barcelona, taking the train, taking the bus. Navarrete I've never been there, and I love the small towns, and I think the students enjoyed to see it was the first impression of what we were going to see in regards to those small towns. The church in Navarrete is beautiful. So we were in a really nice small hostel, and so I think, and then even in that hostel, because it was the bar or restaurant, that night for dinner, they could see other pilgrims. So it's kind of helped them to start saying, oh, okay, this is how it's going to look like, But then next day in the morning, everybody was ready to, let's just do it.
Okay. And then, so I imagine you have a lot of meals together when you go to the dining or in the lunch. So once you arrive to a place to eat, how was that engagement between the student and your group with other people around that were also walking the Camino?
Yeah, so most of, especially during the day, students, like on the Camino, people kind of find their own rhythm, right? And based on the rhythm, you start, you kind of organically end up walking with people who go at a similar pace, right? And so there was kind of a faster group. There was a group or a couple groups who were in the middle, and then there was a group who kind of like to take their time. And so those groups formed organically, and it was nice to see those form because in our time in Barcelona, the people who were walking together on the Camino weren't necessarily spending a lot of time together in Barcelona. So that was neat to see. But whether we were eating as an entire group or just stopping at a town to have a cup of coffee and a pastry, it was clear that there was this rhythm of the Camino of walking and stopping, and the places you stop are places for community and connection and conversation, right? Because most of the people there are other pilgrims who are also doing the Camino. So I think students really looked forward to and appreciated those stops, not just, to hydrate themselves and get something to eat, but also to have an opportunity to interact with other people. And so that's what typically happened whenever we stopped, either during the day on our walks or in the evening when we would meet other pilgrims who were at a restaurant or resting in the albergue.
Yeah. Something that you would like to add, Cynthia?
No, I think the other thing, Maru, that I think that was really nice is and I think we came mostly from you, from Maru, since we stayed in small towns, visiting the supermarkets, local markets became like a tradition. So sometimes, after all day of the Camino, and I was part of the group, the one in the back. So we knew that whenever we all it was a moment where we were going to go to the local supermarket. Maybe not together, but we will find each other in the supermarket. Yeah. And it was funny because, so we would say, "Oh, look what I found. Look what I found." So we were talking, oh my God, Efrain, I had tried a lot of cookies, candy, you name it, that I never tried before in Spain because I was never curious, I knew what I liked before, but then with this one, it was not like, I felt, we were trying different things. And the other thing that, what I'm saying, it was the Maru lead us on, not lead us, but I learned it from here, is that sometimes instead of going to a restaurant, it may be easier just to go to pick up something from a supermarket, and then we start like a picnic approach. So everybody wanted to buy the thing, and then we look for a place to sit, whoever wanted, and then that's when we start sharing, But I think that was a very good thing. So they were in contact. We all were in contact, not only with the restaurant or albergues, but also with the supermarket. But again, they were doing their own shopping. They were paying their own thing. They were interacting with people. I think in those towns, they know who's a pilgrim and who's not, right? They know, and they're very friendly. But I think just for the student, just being there by themselves and do their own groceries or going to the pharmacy, for example, is help them to make that connection that usually you don't do when you are in a more touristic travel.
Okay, and when you were staying in albergues, how big were those bedrooms?
It depends. I think no more than maybe 8 beds, 8 or 10 beds, I think, per room.
Okay, so you have like about 2 rooms, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3, 4. Yeah, it just depends on the albergue.
Okay, and did the student have lived that experience before, the experience of the albergues?
No, I don't think many of them had. I imagine a couple of them, and this is just speculation, had probably stayed in a hostel before.
Okay.
But I think this was probably quite a new experience for them.
And did they like it?
Yeah, I think they were saying that how that experience referred into the dorms experience, in college.
Yeah. Okay.
I cannot speak for them, but I think they did enjoy it, right? I think that the first night maybe is the one that's a little bit strange, but then later I think they enjoy it.
And they were sharing rooms in Barcelona.
Yeah,
so
they were.
Not like that was completely foreign to them.
So in Barcelona, you stayed in an albergue as well, or just in a regular hotel?
It was basically an albergue. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the Camino, I believe that you mentioned that when we did the first interview that you're going to walk not the full 100 kilometers, you're going to be walking less. Is that correct?
That we would be walking
less than 100 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was right around, maybe it was
But
close to 100 kilometers.
Did you get the Compostela?
No, because we didn't start we ended in Burgos.
Oh, that's why. Well, but just to let you know that the regulations for the Compostela changed.
Okay.
Recently. That happened about 3 months ago.
Okay.
And the new rules say that they are trying that there is a lot of congestion on the last 100 kilometers.
Mm.
And trying to spread the people that are going to the Camino. So they change a little bit. So still you need 100 kilometers, but before it needed to be the last 100 kilometers.
Right.
Now
it
can be a combination.
Oh, okay.
You can walk, let's say you start in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France, and you walk to, I don't know exactly right now the kilometer, but let's say that you go to
Pamplona. Yeah.
It's less than that, but let's say that it's 80 kilometers.
All right, or Logroño, maybe.
So those 80 kilometers, you can then jump and go by other type of transportation from Logroño to, let's say, O Pedroso, that is the previous stop from Santiago. And from there, it's about 20-something kilometers to Santiago. So you add those 80 to those 20, and then they're going to give you the Compostela.
Do you have to do the last
stop?
You do have to do the last stop.
But only the last, not the last 100 kilometers.
So you could even do Monte de Gozo.
I don't know exactly if you have there about 20-something, because they have to be the one that they consider the last one.
Okay, one. Got it.
And I know that El Pedroso is one of them on the Frances.
Yeah.
And then they can be also a combination. Doesn't necessarily have to be the same Camino.
Okay.
Could be other Camino, but then what is really important is that the last piece be one that ends in Santiago.
It has to end in Santiago. Oh, that's good to know.
Yes.
Yeah, we can tell students that.
Yeah. And there is a Camino.
There are students who want to go back and walk.
Oh, that's nice. So they wanted to repeat it, right?
Yeah, I think some of them would like to do the whole thing. Some of them say they want to do the whole thing, but in stages. So, but we'll see. I think that a few of them will definitely go back.
Okay, well, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I was doing that conversion, and our segment was 110 kilometers.
Okay. Well, that was so nice experience walking. And how did the students feel it? So they were tired after every day walking?
They were tired, but it's one of those things that, and I think this is true of many people's experiences on the Camino, and has certainly been my experience, but it's you're tired, but it's a different kind of tired, right, than what we experience on a day-to-day basis. So physically, of course, you're tired. Your body is adjusting to walking a large amount of kilometers per day, but your mind is rested, your soul is rested, your spirit is rested. And so I think students felt that. But many of them, I will add, recognize that perhaps they had packed too much, they were carrying too much weight. And so that became clear. And so many of them sort of started letting go of that additional baggage that they were carrying.
Okay. And at the end, did you get to Santiago, or you didn't go to Santiago by any means?
But that also, I mean, part of it for us, it was never about getting to Santiago. It was just about having the experience.
Okay.
And I know it sounds cliche, right? People say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I mean, in this instance, it really was. In addition to that, logistically, where we were walking was closer to Barcelona than Santiago. But even more than that, as you mentioned earlier, that those last 100 kilometers are very congested and you meet people, but since there are so many people, the connections you make there's not as much depth to those connections. That's what I found, since there's such a large amount of people. Whereas if you start earlier on the Camino Frances, as we did, you keep running into the same people. And that's something that I really appreciate about starting earlier. I actually, the last 100 kilometers of the Camino Frances aren't my favorite part of the Camino. It's nice to get to Santiago, but I like sort of a little bit less people.
Yeah, but that's exactly why they made those changes. Yeah. It's going to take some time until that happens, but that's the idea of
that's great.
Why they did that.
Just to illustrate what Maru was saying, I think that nice experiences is in addition to really, especially after being a big city, getting disconnected, going, kind of disconnect for your real life, just like students, and I say myself, it's amazing that you have the whole day just to walk. Mm-hmm. But it's not just that, because again, part of the reflections is not that you have 8-10 days just to walk. It's a lot of reflection, but even it's about yourself, trying to see, can I really make it or not? Do I need to go faster, or I need to slow down? Do I need to rest? Do I need to eat? I think they found that was a very good lesson, kind of learn to live life in a different way. If that makes sense. We are talking about a student that they just has finished a semester, like the hecticness of going back home, like that. And more than one, they say that you had the whole day for that. And then what Maru was saying about meeting people, I remember one specific case, like, again, we were like 3 or 4 in the back, and then we were just, just crossing to a couple, a man and a woman. And then I start talking, hey, where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm from a small town in North Carolina.
Oh.
So we were like, hey, but this same couple, another of our students had met them, so it is, it was, again, the people that you interact with makes a very, inspired, very interesting, really.
Yeah, well, actually talking about the U.S., that the last year they were 38,000 pilgrims that got to Compostela from the U.S.
Well, we noted, I mean, I've been doing Camino since 2008. And when I first started, I was like La Americana on the Camino, because there were like very few Americans. And this time we saw and met a lot of Americans. Yeah. I was surprised at how much growth there's been from people in the US. The word has definitely gotten out about the Camino.
Yeah, and there is actually a report that was made by CBS, and where the reporter went to Santiago and it was just talking with Americans in there. Wow. So the report was especially made for the US.
Yeah.
From CBS. I don't know if you have watched it, but if not, I can share it with you later.
I'll definitely check it out. But going back to something Cynthia said earlier, like, as in life, the Camino is really what you make it. And, I think students recognized early on that this wasn't just, I'm going to put in my earphones and I'm just going to walk 20 something kilometers, you could do that, of course, right? But you're going to have a different experience. You're going to be selling yourself short, right? You're closing yourself off to the experience, to the people, and to the many lessons that the Camino offers. And I think bit by bit, students were sharing what those lessons were, right? The Camino, as you know, there's so many ways it mirrors life in general. And that's really powerful. And if you're just looking down and having your headphones in, you're going to miss a lot of that.
Yeah, because the Camino is like a kind of, you disconnect with the outside world and focus most on yourself and the people that is going with you.
Right. And part of I think what makes this experience so powerful is disconnecting from all of the noise, right? Like we're always so busy, we're running on a hamster wheel, and it's not often that we have time to disconnect from that noise and reconnect with ourselves and reconnect with what matters, and really just take the time to think and to process. And especially for students who many of them are about to graduate, right? Having that time to think about, like, what is it that I really want to do with my life, right? Who do I want to be? All of those questions that they don't have time to think about in their day-to-day lives, they have time to think about on the Camino.
So you were saying about disconnecting.
Oh yeah. No, I was just saying that that the Camino is an opportunity to disconnect from all of the noise, right, of our day-to-day lives, right? We kind of spend our days running on this hamster wheel, and we don't have time to sit back and reflect and process about what truly is important to us. And so the Camino offers an opportunity to disconnect from all that noise and reconnect with ourselves and what matters. And I think that's especially important for students. A lot of our students were about to graduate. We're thinking about what they wanted to do next in life. So having an opportunity to really think about what it is that matters to them, what their purpose is, who they want to be in life, is really a unique opportunity that, that it's difficult to capture that in the same way without the Camino.
The Camino is very related with your life, and then you can apply everything that you learned there to your real life.
Absolutely.
Actually, and right now trying to schedule. We already have our first meeting with two professors from UNC Asheville, and they did the Camino in 2017, I believe, and they work with some students. Of course, all of them are already graduated. And we're trying to coordinate to have the two teachers and also some of those students.
Oh, great.
Right now they're working and all that. And they wanted to share about their experiences and how they have affected now their professional career, because it's all related.
Yeah.
Well, and as a researcher, I've even thought about, like, it would be neat to do research on kind of the ongoing impacts of the Camino on people's personal and professional lives.
Yeah. Well, because you were about to say something, Cynthia.
I think that, to me, this is the second time that I do a segment. I just did it with Maru 2 years ago, and we did at the time Pamplona and Logroño. And I just confirmed that, all what we had said, but another important lesson for me, and I think for the students too, is how important it is to go on your own pace in life and in general. We, like Maru said, we were 15 people, but we were not all together all the time. Everybody was based on what their goal, what their feelings, what they were doing, right? So some of us didn't do the 110 kilometers. It was a moment when a group decided, you know what, I feel I need to take a break. We took a bus for 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, and then we went back. So to me, it's a very important lesson that we cannot underestimate, because if we go back to the idea how a Camino resembles life, I think that is very important. How we need to, at least for me, it has been a lesson, or it is something that I try to practice. You live your life based on your own dreams, on your own accent, on your own energy. It's just that when we try to do it because of other ones, so because you want to be at the same level of the other person, I think that's what become overwhelmed. So again, it's just and even we did reflect too about how even if you feel okay, I really don't feel like doing 5 kilometers, that doesn't put you different from the other person that did the 5 kilometers. It's the same game, the same success, if you want to put it that way.
Absolutely.
We can just take different routes to do things.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that usually happen when you're working. That there are people that do not understand that even that they do not get into the goal, you still they get it. Because as long as you justify what happened and that you did your best on your end, that for a supervisor, for a manager, director, or any other upper management could be a success. Because maybe many barriers that happen trying to accomplish that goal that prevent you to get to that end goal. And that's part of the job that you are there to complete all that and to try to see what are the strategies that you need to take in consideration to make possible that goal. Sometimes take longer, but you still are working and you are being successful in the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, we're going here, almost ending here today, and I appreciated your conversation that you're coming back from that experience and you are telling us about that. Anything else that you would like to add? So let's start with you, Maru.
I mean, I think this experience just reconfirmed the reason we started this program in the first place, right? The Camino has been so transformative in my life for so many reasons that literally I can't even count on both hands. And for me, it's important to kind of, whenever I can, share that experience with others and especially students. And so it's really special for them to get a glimpse, a taste of something that's been such an important part of my life in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Well, very nice. And how about you, Cynthia?
Well, I think the last time when we did 2 years ago, I felt the same thing, that it is hard to explain what it is, El Camino. You had to live it. I mean, you had to be there. And I just invite anybody that had the opportunity to do it. And to be honest, I'm thinking it doesn't have to be El Camino de Santiago, any other path, any other Camino that help you to disconnect from your regular life, and relax and enjoy it, and like Maru was saying, one of the images with the group in the back, we were taking pictures of everything, one of the students were finding all these details that if you are in your regular life or in the city, you just don't see, so anyhow, I just, to me, it is a good reminder of how we can live life in a less stressful way. It doesn't mean that it is easy all the time, but it is possible. This time it confirmed my image for El Camino, that I love it from the past. And this one is that when you are in the hill, look down, don't look up. Yeah. Somebody told me years ago, when actually Machu Picchu, in a hill, don't look up, because then you get so anxious about, oh my God, and I'm in the heat, that. So that may freeze you, but just look one step at a time, and I love that practice, because, when you just look down and you just look your steps, when you realize you stop and you are almost there and you didn't feel it. Yeah. I mean, that works for me. Going back to it's a different experience for everybody, but the reason why I love that image is because it's, again, going back life. I think we are living difficult moments now. And sometimes we look, oh my God, what is happening, But if you just say, okay, this is where we are, this step here is helping me to get to the top, I think that kind of reduce your stress, your anxiety, and help you to enjoy every step.
Correct. And then there was someone else actually said, something similar, which is to learn to look for and appreciate the beauty that exists all around us. And I think, again, as in life on the Camino, there are some times where it can get challenging for all sorts of reasons, but taking a step back to really appreciate the beauty that exists, whether that's in the landscape or the people that are around us, right? I think one of the biggest lessons was the importance of community, the importance of having support, and recognizing that even if, one of us was experiencing hardship, there was always someone there to give us a Band-Aid or a snack or share a kind word. And there's so much power in that sense of community.
Yeah. And going with what you just said, Cynthia, about the hill, when you focus on looking down, that's just, you are isolating all the big hill. Mm-hmm. You're just thinking on that small piece. And something else that I do the same that you are doing, that you just mentioned, but I also look the other way and I say, this I have accomplished already. I'm doing pretty good. And then I look back down again. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much for being here today, Maru and Cynthia, and thank you, Pilgrim, for watching our episode today. Remember always to add your comments on the comment section for future episodes to know what we need to cover. And buen camino.
Thank you.